boss's first private swimming pool. Jacuzzi, massage tools, luxury, comfort, everything is in it. No, it is not. It is the mesh tub. It is in wrought iron, is here since 1937 and was second hand at that time. Mind the panels to keep in the heat, the lids we close with the same intention. What did they do between 1900 and 1937? They worked as beer merchants. A beer merchant buys the mother beer and makes the derivatives. A brewer brews the mother beer and makes the derivatives. So in 1937 they started brewing themselves. Down there you see red copper filters. The raw materials are stored in the attic, crushed in an old machine on the first floor. They slowly fall into this container. The raw materials are 850 kilos of malted barley and 450 kilos of wheat. Does everyone know what malted barley is?
Yes.
Ja.
Yes?
Yes.
Sure, everyone?
No, I don't.
Well,
I do.
That's nice. Well, what's malted barley? Barley is the variety of grains used to make 90% of the beers with. But barley, excuse me, is a very hard variety of grain. In order to extract the natural sugars better, they must make these little grains softer. Where do they do it? In big factories called malteries. How do they proceed? Well, they first put these little grains in big containers with hot water. In there, they stay for 1 day. Afterwards, they transfer them to other containers warmed up to 17 degrees Celsius. And in there, they stay for 5 days. During that time, these wet little grains will germinate. Then they dry them and they burn them or mold them, a bit like burning fresh coffee beans. The higher the temperature during the malting, the darker the beer will be. At 80 degrees Celsius it gives you a pale beer. At 100 degrees Celsius it gives you a dark beer. At 120 degrees Celsius it gives what we call malt extracts. And malt extracts are natural dyeing stuff for food. So 850 kilos of this malted barley, 450 kilos of wheat slowly fall into this container. And during the same time, we pump hot water on it. Water warmed up to 72 degrees Celsius. And at that temperature, the sugars of the grains pass into the water. Helped by these metallic arms. They turn around and at the same time, during the same time, around this container. A total quantity of 10,000 liters of hot water will pass through this mixture of grains in the 3 hours this first step in the production takes. The liquid, which is pumped out afterwards, is no longer water, but beer wort, because this water takes the natural sugars of the grains with it. It's in fact a bittersweet water. It's pumped upstairs into the 2 containers of which we see the bottom here. And in there it will boil during 4 hours. Boil after having had it hops. Do you know what hops look like? Yeah? Little bells, pale green little bells. They grow on climbing plants. There's a picture in the attic, you will see it up there. And in industrial breweries, they use young hops, so the pale green little bells. The female flowers of the hops are used to brew with. They use them to give the acidity to industrial beer, the taste to industrial beer. But we use old hops. 3 years old dry hops. And during the long cooking time, the 4 hours cooking time, these hops will secrete chemical stuff into the liquid. For example, lupuline. And this allows the long conservation of our beer. If you buy a casket of Pils beer, you can keep it for a maximum of 1 year. The taste goes away. There's not much taste at the beginning, but it goes on. And our goose can be kept for 20 years and more if you're so lucky to have a good cellar with constant temperature, 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, a cellar in which you can keep your wine bottles. Okay? After the cooking, the liquid comes down there in the chariot over there in the corner. In it, there is a filter to extract the hops. The hops will be composted. The liquid goes upstairs into the attic. More about it afterwards. What's left in this container when the liquid is pumped out? What remains in here?
The grains.
The grains. These wet grains. That's a brown, orange-brown, acid-smelling stuff. I tasted it. It is delicious. It tastes a bit like porridge. It tastes like porridge, so grains, which have been soaking in hot water for hours, that's it. Milk goes like it. Pigs like it. But they do not dance when they eat it, because at this step of the production there's not yet any alcohol. It's only animal fodder. Did you visit Grand Place? Did you visit the center of Brussels, Grand Place? Yeah. Do you know a bit of the history of Brussels? Did you have a guided tour? Yes. Yes. Oh, well, then your guide must have spoken about the Seine. No?
No.
No?
We didn't pay him for that.
I beg your pardon?
I said we didn't pay him for that.
Oh.
Didn't pay him enough.
Well, I'll tell you the story of Brussels in a nutshell because it's important to speak about it here. Brussels, you've been to the Grand Place.
Yes.
Well, that's not